Hi. I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be an Episcopalian and the things that we have in common. Episcopalians are people who, though holding many different opinions about all matters of life, come together and set aside our differences for a time of prayer. The Book of Common Prayer shapes who we are by enabling us to find a time and a place to be one people. We value our differences and our capacity to come together to pray. Our baptismal covenant teaches us some guiding principles for what it means to live our lives together as a people who value our differences, plus a capacity to pray together. We do this when we say things like, from the baptismal covenant, we believe in the power of the Holy Spirit as God's active agent in the world. The Holy Spirit creates the capacity for people to see into our own lives, to seek forgiveness for broken relationships, and the capacity to heal those broken places. And we believe that we are called to lifelong learning about God and God's love in Jesus. We're called to love as Jesus loved by working to dismantle the systems of oppression in the world as we know it and to restore wholeness for every living being, which is basically what Jesus was doing. He was working to dismantle the systems of oppression in his life, and we are to do the same. So coming together for common prayer has the potential to teach each of us how to respect our differences and still love one another. The Episcopal Church has long called this the via media, finding a middle way. We also share a common meal. Holy Communion is a meal shared in community, shared from a common piece of bread and from a common cup, as we believe Jesus did at the Last Supper. The meal is made holy and sacred by our being together, praying, blessing, communing with one another. We share a common meal made into a holy communion by our shared experience of being together. COVID restrictions have changed how we gather, how we come together, how we experience communing with one another in the holy way that we've become accustomed. One fact of these past 19 months is that we'll never actually really be the same again. Yet one of the realities of the natural sciences and the survival of species is our capacity to adapt. The capacity to adapt is part of creation because our Creator, who instilled diversity, creativity, and the capacity to adapt into the essence of creation, into all living species, created the potential for us to thrive through adapting. How will we adapt and thrive? Only time will tell. But after 155 years, it's pretty clear that Christ Church in Dearborn has this capacity. We've done it before, and we're doing it now. One way that I'm wondering about how we can gather in sacred communion with one another and share a sacred meal is by extending what we mean by the common cup. I began to imagine if it was possible for each of us to share a common cup by each of us having the same small cup, a small chalice. And I was delighted to find 1 ounce chalices available at a very affordable price. And so I've purchased 41 of these chalices, and I can buy more if we need them. The idea is that if you come to church and pick up your chalice, and here it is, see, it's a 1 ounce chalice. Just pick up your small chalice. It's yours to use whenever you come to church and receive Holy Communion. And then you can take it home with you and bring it back. And we will use a common cruet to add wine into everyone's chalice. Even the clergy will use the same chalice, so we're all using the same common chalice. For those of you who still prefer to worship at home or need to because of immunity issues, you can pick up a chalice and use it at home during the communion time by filling it with your own wine or grape juice. Understand that technically the bishops of the Episcopal Church have not authorized communion from home with wine and bread consecrated through Zoom or Facebook Live. Therefore, technically, any bread and wine had at home during Sunday Holy Communion time will be an agape meal, a meal shared in love. Nonetheless, there'll be a communion meal shared among us, each of us with the same common cup. So starting this Sunday, November 7th, with our Ingathering Sunday, I invite you to turn in your pledge card, your estimate of giving to support the mission of Christ Church for 2022. And in this time of change that demands us to have this deep capacity to adapt, your ability to share in our common prayer and mission to love our neighbors is more important than ever. So please consider well how you can contribute to the operating budget with your estimate of giving. And then come and pick up your chalice. Join in common prayer, our communal meal, and our mission to be agents of God's transforming love in the world. I'll see you on Sunday. Take good care.